talented director James Wan is doing a show for DC's digital-only service about Swamp Thing. I think he's producing it. I don't know if he's going to direct it, but it's through a producing company of his. And it looks like his relationship with DC is getting bigger and more prominent. Because, as you probably already know, he's directing Aquaman, which comes out this December. And before that, well, Aquaman's the first thing associated with DC James Wan has done. But he's also been very successful previously. That's how he got the Aquaman job, I'm sure. He directed one of the Fast and the Furious movies. And he was also director and producer in a lot of those, like, Conjuring franchise movies. You know, with those dolls and ghosts that are, like, killing people. And I think he got his first big break. He directed one of the Saw movies. And every James Wan movie I've seen, I've liked. And I think his movies generally get good reviews. And I think he's respected in Hollywood by fans and other people in the industry. So him being attached to a DC show, I'm intrigued. And especially since it's Swamp Thing, that character in the comics, there's a lot of horror aspects to his adventures and his mythos. And of course, I think in the old Swamp Thing movies that would come out, I don't know if those were horror exactly, but they definitely had the kind of like dark atmosphere sensibilities that I think would lend itself well to Wan's style and what he do with the show. But anyways, let's get into the article one of the articles that covered this yesterday. I'm on Newsarama. New live-action Swamp Thing TV show coming in 2019. A live-action Swamp Thing 1-hour television series by Aquaman director James Wan has been optioned for the DC Universe streaming service. Wan is producing the show through his Atomic Monster shingle, alongside Warner Brothers Television. And here's a show synopsis, which I don't know, I'm kind of curious about this, so let me read it first. When CDC researcher Abby Arcane returns to her childhood home of Houma, Louisiana, in order to investigate a deadly swamp-borne virus, she develops a surprising bond with scientist Alec Holland, only to have him tragically taken from her. This is the show's official description. But as powerful forces descend on Houma, intent on exploiting the swamp's mysterious properties for their own purposes, Abby will discover that the swamp holds mystical secrets, both horrifying and wondrous, and the potential love of her life may not be dead after all. Now, for those of you who don't know much about Swamp Thing, Abby Arcane is his most famous love interest. You know, Swamp Thing is the big swamp guy. I'm sure you know about him. But this synopsis is all about her, almost as if like she's the star of the show. And I hope she's not the star of a show called Swamp Thing, because Swamp Thing's another person. That's Alec Holland. He should be the star of his own show. And the name of the show was Swamp Thing. So, although Abby should be one of the main characters, because she's, you know, the famous love interest, and other stuff happens with her too, she shouldn't be the main focus of the show all the time. It should be him, because it's his show. So I hope this synopsis, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I hope that the people making this show understand, you know, who the actual star of this show is. Now, Abby Arcane, as you know, she's not just Swamp Thing's girlfriend. Later on, I think she becomes... Swamp Thing is an elemental of, like, the green, of natural, like... He's an earth elemental, basically. They made him that later on in DC storylines. I don't think when the character first started, he was that, but later writers and editors kind of made him more of an earth elemental. She becomes, like, an elemental of death later on. And she is the niece of Anton Arcane, Swamp Thing's most well-known villain. He becomes an avatar, like an elemental of death too, and the two of them become connected that way. I haven't read that many Swamp Thing comics, but they both are kind of associated with death later on. And Anton Arcane is with like a lot of weird body horror kind of stuff going on with him, with like body parts and stuff. But basically, you know, being the avatar of death makes Anton Arcane the enemy of life. And Swamp Thing is an earth elemental. You know, it's symbolic. As an earth elemental, he represents planet Earth, plant life, life in general. And so for him to be fighting forces with the avatar of death, which is about, you know, withering plants, withering bodies, life away, you know, there's a lot of symbolism in that. But anyways, you know, I'm excited. I'm ready for Swamp Thing. I want to see it. I just hope that it's actually a show about Swamp Thing with him as the main focus. And they aren't making it all about, like, his girlfriend and not him. Abby Arcane's cool and stuff, but I mean, the name of the show and the comic book that this is based on is not called Abby Arcane, it's called Swamp Thing. So, you know, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that DC will you know, get it together for this. But anyways, thank you for watching. That's my DC, I guess, TV update for the day. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.